it's an honor to be here this morning, for one, to represent an organization that is near and dear to my heart because, just to be transparent with y'all, I was started on my own. But then also, I fell in love with everyone else that was an intricate part of it, especially Steve Wyman. So One Love, they provide services for individuals, whether it's for therapy, any substance abuse issues, and I actually got started working in One Love, working in a group home, and that's for individuals that needed a place to go to address their behavioral issues, but they necessarily didn't need to go to jail, right? But one of the things that it's an honor to be here today because just to see so many people here to address this issue of mental health and suicide awareness, because it's something that's also near and dear to my heart. So I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2006. I was a sophomore at UNC Chapel Hill at that particular time, and at that moment, I didn't know what it actually meant for me, because it's not something that we discuss. We don't, we hear the things about people being crazy, or we see that, when we say bipolar, or they just got mood swings, but we never really understand or put a face to what that actually looks like. So for me, when I got that diagnosis, it scared me. I was terrified. But then also with that, when I got that diagnosis, I was in a psychiatric ward, I was in a straitjacket, and I was in a padded room when they gave me that diagnosis. So I was shook up with that because of the fact that I'm from Eastern North Carolina, so from Berkeley County, where I grew up. It was, small town, but I was the man there. I was a 3-sport athlete, graduated near the top of my class. I actually went to Carolina on an academic scholarship. And so for me to be at this high peak and get to a point where I was in a psychiatric ward, I was lost. But then after I got out of the hospital, they told me that, I couldn't go back to school at a particular moment because that was one of my stressors. And then I ended up moving to Charlotte, and that's when I actually started working with One Love. But I started to see a therapist, and I started to see a psychiatrist, and I got better. But of course, when we get better, we say, all right, I'm cured, I don't need this anymore, right? We see this all the time, whether that be dealing with substance abuse issues, whether it be mental health, or anything else. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to school. I ended up going back to school, and my symptoms came back. So one of the things where I want to let y'all know, with bipolar disorder, for me, my specific diagnosis is bipolar 1 disorder with psychotic features. So I used to hear three distinct voices in addition to my mood swings, all right? And when I got back to college, my voices got louder. When they got louder, instead of me going back to getting on meds and going back to therapy, what do y'all think I started to do? Started self-medicating, drinking. I was going through a 5th of tequila every other day, and I did that for over 3 years. Now, we know, I'm pretty sure we all have somebody in our family, and then maybe even us. We try to run away from our problems, whether through some type of substance, whether it be eating, any of those things, to try to run away from our problems, right? But I was drinking, I'll drink when I get up, I'll drink all day, I'll even go to work drinking. And I'll drink all the way until I go to sleep at night, because essentially the only way I was able to sleep is if I passed out. During that time, I hit my low. So over that 3-year period, I attempted suicide 3 times. First 2 times I tried to overdose on pills. That didn't work. So the last time I was like, all right, I got a failed super plan. I got a plan. Put a gun in my head and pulled the trigger. It jammed on. That was my lowest point of my life. Because a lot of times we hear that suicide is something that, is selfish, or that person was weak, they couldn't put up with it. I'm pretty sure all of y'all don't believe that because y'all are here today. But that's the thing, that's the perception that, the community has. Selfish. Let's demystify that. I thought about everybody else. My family that drugged me to the hospital, I thought about them. If I'm no longer here, they don't need to worry about me anymore. Now, I know that's illogical thinking, but that's the mindset that I was in at that particular moment. I was weak. I don't see anything weak about anybody trying to kill themselves. But then also, I was in emotional distress. I felt like if I was no longer here, I could let that burden down. But I failed at that last suicide attempt. And when I failed, I was like, all right, I got to do something different. I needed to go back to meds. I needed to get back to therapy. I needed to really actually heal. That's one of the things we don't give ourselves time to do is heal, because life continues to go on, but sometimes you need to take that break. So I was able to get back on meds and everything, and I got better. But when I got better, I was able to like see the world completely different. Just because, so from my initial diagnosis in 2006 to my last suicide attempt, that's a span of 7 years. Nobody knew what was going on with me. Only people that knew about my diagnosis were the people that drug me to the hospital. But only a select few people knew about my suicide attempts. Even Steve. And I worked with Steve for a very long time, but he didn't even know. I was afraid to tell them what was going on with me. I'm working in mental health, dealing with my own mental health challenges, right? So I want to challenge everybody here today to not only just show up here to walk, but please take care of yourself. If you need to take that break, take it. Please. So my shirt says check on your strong friends. So I have a nonprofit too where I do mental health awareness, and I have strong marked out, because I know for every one of y'all are the strong person for somebody. But a lot of times the strong person gets negated. We don't check on that particular person. We don't get those phone calls saying, how are you? Do you need anything? How can I support you today? I want to challenge you all to do that. That particular strong person that's in your life, call them today.